so I'm sure Usyk's away somewhere having a drink and that, but no one's filming him and everything else.
Danny Gaffone for Pro Boxing Fans. Pleasure to be joined by Joe Gallagher. Joe, good to see you again. How's things?
Yeah, good to see you too. Yeah, all right, mate. Not too far to travel this time, just down the road here in Bolton.
A handy one and a cheap train fare for me anyway. Big fight for yourself, for Macauley, in there with Abbas Barao for the European title. First and foremost, talk to me a bit how this fight came about. When was it put in front of yourself and Macauley? I'm sure there weren't many hesitations about taking it, but talk to me about how this fight got made, how we got here.
There's a number of things really. Obviously Macauley a while back fought super middleweight, got a phone call to go over to Paris, got a draw over there. Then he fought Tyler Denny, the European middleweight, now champion, at short notice. And then third time lucky, here we go again. We've got an opportunity to fight for the European super welterweight title. In that time, after that last fight, Macauley had been making fights on small hall shows, making championship weight and going up the rankings. And then obviously we had a phone call about them doing a show here and Macauley fighting him. And yeah, it was an opportunity too good to turn down. And like we keep saying to Macauley, this is definitely a very Rocky One type of story, getting a shot, but it adds credibility to Macaulay's career. He's performed very well on the big stage, been unlucky, and hopefully this is the moment he becomes European super welterweight champion.
As you touched on there, the fight's at 154 pounds. The Tyler Denny fight was at 160. You talked about the super middleweight when he was over in Paris. How is Macauley at 154 compared to the other weights you've seen him at?
Yeah, well, we use them small hall shows to make 154 to fight fighters down at the weight. We fought Dale Harris-Smith. We stopped Dale Harris-Smith, or Macauley stopped Dale Harris-Smith. Then he fought another durable journeyman, stopped him. He made the weight. He had a good workout. Then he had another fight, went 6 rounds, just to see where the energy levels were at 154. Because I wanted to see whether he could still do it and not just make it but perform at it, and he did do. And now we've got to move back up to 160, but listen, the opportunities come at 154. Macauley knows he can make weight 154, he knows he can perform at 154, and that's all you need to know going into the fight now for him, and all boxes are ticked.
What's your scouting report on Abbas Barao? Obviously an accomplished amateur, he's got that European title, had a good fight with Sam Eggington last time out earlier this year. How do you sum him up as an opponent, and without giving too much away, how do you prepare for him?
Abbas Barao, this is a very talented fighter, good amateur, good pro, boxing the front foot, boxing the back foot. Last fight with Egerton, decided to sit in the trenches a little bit with him, but he can box from range at distance. He's had various trainers, Adam Booth, I think Rubio's involved with him now as well. He's a good fighter, cool head, doesn't panic, lost to Jack Kulkai. Kulkai was just about a bit of experience and manoeuvring the ring and just different little key things in the fight that made a huge difference on the night. So he's a well-schooled fighter. He's a European champion, and we've done our homework, and we've got to go out there and implement the game plan.
We've got young Mikey Talon in the card who I spoke to, lovely fella. At this stage with him, is it just about getting him used to this first and foremost, and being under those lights in those smaller gloves, and then sort of just slowly progressing towards he's hoping for some form of titles by the end of next year?
Yeah, no, Mikey's a kid that we're really excited about. If you look at him, you won't think he was old enough to box. Well, you wouldn't a year ago. He's coming on a little bit now, but we've tried to keep him busy this year. 1 or 2 shows didn't happen where he didn't fight, but we're glad to get him out again now. Obviously, now after this fight, we're looking to get him out again in July. Most we put him in an 8-rounder, and we'll look to have him in a title fight before the end of the year. He's someone what really move quickly. He's very dedicated, lives in the gym, and I think he's an exceptional talent, and I think he's one to keep an eye out for.
Just away from Friday night, Joe, Lawrence Okolie made his stable debut a few weeks back. I mean, there's not much really to break down, but in terms of first run out for a fighter, you can't ask for much more. Or would you have almost rather a few rounds? Because I mean, it was over in about a minute and a half.
Yeah, I said to someone the other day, I was annoyed with Lawrence on the night, and I was happy with him, and I was annoyed, and everyone's like, "What are you annoyed with?" Well, I was annoyed. It took him so many times before he let the shot go where it was there to be thrown earlier on, and we have to execute that a little bit quicker and better as we move up into the bigger boys. Them opportunities aren't got to present themselves. Happy the way that he finished the fight, the variety in the backhand. He didn't smother his work, kept it at distance, looked sharp. And then I was annoyed then that people didn't really see everything else that we've done of Lawrence to show that he was good. So Like I say, he won. He did it in spectacular fashion in the way that I wanted him to. I wanted him to do it in a Hearns Duran type performance. We watched that in the morning of the fight, and that's what I expected from him. Hopefully he's got to be out now in September again, and most probably another one before the end of the year. But he's itching, he's speaking to me, he's in the gym, he's training, and he wants to get out and get in the mix with the big fights and the big boys, whether we have a unification, a mandatory against Kevin Loran, or whether we cross horns with any of the heavyweights out there.
Watching interviews with Lawrence, he's made no secret of the fact that a move to heavyweight will be coming. What does your gut tell you for the next fight? We doing one more at Bridgerweight, or potentially go straight into the blue ribbon division?
Yeah, no, personally, me, I'd like to see the unification. I'd like to see him get the WBA version of it. That's 2 belts, and also an opportunity for him to fight at that same weight again, make that weight again, and then look at the heavyweight picture then after that. Obviously, a lot of the titles are all tied up till December anyway, do you know what I mean? But obviously, once them belts become fragmented in December, there'll be a lot of opportunities. So I most would say unification, and then most would dip his toes into a fight before the end of the year at heavyweight, and then be in the picture for when them belts fragment.
Sticking with the heavyweight division, I want to talk to you first about Daniel Dubois' performance against Filip Hrgovic. I personally wasn't expecting it. I didn't see a lot of people picking him to win. A lot of people were saying Hrgovic's was Matchroom's biggest favourite on the night. Were you surprised by what Daniel produced in Riyadh?
No, not at all. Obviously, being over there in Saudi and working the Mike Tyson gym, when the fighters come over there, we were quite fortunate there when he was in the gym getting ready for Miller, and his mindset, his attitude, the team around him, and then also bringing Kieran Farrell on board with has huge energy, very good on the pads, gets his shots going as a heavyweight and throwing punches and bunches. And I just thought Daniel Dubois' work rate and ethic and conditioning was fantastic for that fight of Hrgovic. He set a tempo, he set a pace, and yeah, he got caught with right hands early on, but his fitness and his mindset rolled him through that and got him through that, and he wasn't got to be denied. And Hrgovic was landing right hands, but he couldn't sustain it. I thought Daniel Dubois' head movement, I think his punches and bunches, you could just see he wasn't got to be denied that night. And there's talk now of him and Anthony Joshua. I think that's a fantastic fight. And Daniel's still only 26. We forget that he's still only 26, and what he's doing now at the moment. So Daniel at 26. Looked after right now, good fights, good opportunities. Like he could be one for the future of boxing. The time he gets to 29-30 in that heavyweight division. Him and the kid from Germany I rate very highly as well.
You touched on a potential fight between Daniel and Anthony Joshua. How does that play out if that is to happen in September?
I think they're both in a really good run of form. I think Anthony Joshua's in a good run of form, Daniel Dubois is, and that's when fights need to happen, that when they're both in good runs of form. Obviously Daniel will take huge confidence after beating Miller and then beating someone as big as Hrgovic, who can punch as much as Hrgovic, and they've most probably had sparring sessions in the past, either at GEB or in the gym, so there's underlying stories there. But it's a good fight. It's one what we want to see. Can Anthony Joshua sustain the pace that Daniel Dubois sets? Can Daniel Dubois get out of the way of Joshua's right hand? Can Anthony Joshua get out of the way of Daniel Dubois' right hand? It's a fight. Let's get it done and just sit back and watch it and enjoy it.
Later that night we saw Zhilei Zhang make fairly short work of Deontay Wilder. A lot of people think that could be the end of the road for Wilder. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do. I think it was a bad knockout, and I feel obviously there's lots of talk of when he had that win that affected him a little bit when he knocked the kid clean out. But I just feel, yeah, he's got nothing left to prove, Deontay, and he should go out now. I know he might be tempted back for another fight, but you can just see Zhang there, the size of him, and there's heavyweights and there's heavyweights, but he's a super heavyweight, and it isn't that though. As we've seen, Joseph Parker had a brilliant game plan against him. He knew he was dangerous for the first 6-7 rounds, managed to guide himself through it, not too easily. Got caught once, twice, and got dropped, but then knew that he'd get Zhang down the straight, and Zhang seemed to have come in better condition this time, and I'd love to see him in with a Usyk, a Tyson, or Anthony Joshua as well. So it's yeah, he's a huge man, he's a big man, but he's not ready for retiring yet. But I think Deontay Wilder's days are over now, and it's a sad say. It's a sad sight to see, but when your time's up and Father Time comes knocking, you have to retire.
What do you put the decline in Deontay down to? A lot of people obviously attribute it to particularly the second and third fights with Tyson Fury. I'm also seeing some people saying that he just was never that good, and it's because he's stepped up in level. Seems a bit harsh to me, but what are your thoughts on it?
No, he's step up a level. I just think Deontay Wilder was a phenomenal puncher. Obviously, he was a bronze Olympian. Didn't start boxing till late, and like you say, at the time, he was the most feared puncher in world boxing. That right hand was putting everybody to sleep. I just think you've got an old-fashioned heavyweight who's a light heavyweight. I think he weighed 15.4, 15.6 for the heavyweight fight against Shang, where Lawrence Okolie weighed 16 stone for the bridgerweight. So that just shows you he was a small heavyweight, and I just think today's modern heavyweights like 18, 19 stone, they're just too big for them type of heavyweights like Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder saying that they're emotional, they might think, oh well, bridgerweight's better for me, or listen, there's not a pick on him, he'd never do cruiserweight at 14.4, but yeah, I just think the heavyweights are just too big now, and I think he's. People say he wasn't that good. Listen, look at the people that he knocked out with the right hand, and look at the people who didn't really want to fight him with the right hand. Fair play to Tyson Fury. Them 3 fights seem to have took the toll on him, and that's when I think that trilogy will stand the test of time. They were both at the peak at the time when they fought each other.
Just last one on Tyson Fury, rematch with Oleksandr Usyk, penciled in for December. As there always is in boxing, there's sceptics. I've seen Johnny Nelson says he doesn't think Fury will make the rematch. He doesn't think he'll take it. We've obviously saw the video of Tyson the other night on a night out. Are you confident Tyson Fury will rematch Oleksandr Usyk in December? And if so, how do you see it playing out? What adjustments do you think he needs to make?
Yeah, I think so. I think Tyson Fury is a man of his word. That's what Tyson and his team are. If he said he's going to fight him, he'll fight him. They thought the first fight wasn't going to happen, and it happened. I think there's a bit between his teeth. He knew. Listen, didn't get off to the best start, but after round 6 he was 4-2 up, and then he was cruising. He hurt him with an uppercut, and most probably looked back in it. I think I should have gone and finished it instead of being patient. Then he got caught with a shot in the 8th that did his nose in, not to help his breathing. Then got caught in the 9th, recovered still, and came back and pushed it really close. It was a pick-em type of fight at the end of it. So yeah, I think it's a fight for him that he'd want to do, and I think if he applies himself, and that's it. It's sad to see people filming out, people socialising, and that's the trouble with social media. He's been in camp for don't know how long. Last year there was the cut, and then there's obviously the cancellation. So I'm sure Usyk's away somewhere having a drink and that, but no one's filming him and everything else. Just like years ago, your Durans, your Chavezes and fighters need a downtime, and people should be left alone. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure the footballers after the European Championships will all be out on the lash somewhere afterwards, celebrating afterwards. So leave Tyson alone now for a period of time. Let him enjoy time with his family. Let him enjoy himself just being Tyson Fury, just being a normal person, going to the pub, having a drink with the lads, or spending family time, and get off his back. He'll be back, I'm sure, when it's ready to get back into camp, and I'm sure he'll be wanting to put the record straight at the end of the year.
Well, Joe, I'll let you get on. Always nice speaking to you. Safe travels back to Manchester, not too far to go.
Cheers,
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Joe. Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
In a bit.